to our online series where we aim to bring contemporary dance closer to our audiences and offer insight into a creative processes behind each piece presented at the festival. It is my pleasure to talk to Manuel Roque, choreographer and performer from Canada, and we will talk about his piece, Bang Bang. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So maybe the first question is like, what kind of need or impulse was there more than 10 years ago after your extensive and exciting career of performers, which brought you to or led you to decide to do your own choreographic work? What was there?
Oh, I think somehow it was always there, and I just felt when I was younger, like when I was in my 20s, I felt I was just not ready. So that's why I danced a lot for choreographer to just learn and get different. I danced for very different signature. And so for me, it was really interesting because before I was in circus, and in circus, you focus on your act. It's like a 5 minutes. And when I start to dance, for me, the spectrum of the possibilities of expression was so large and broad because like when I started, I was working for a show for children in the morning, and then in the afternoon it was like another choreographer I was working with who was really into like Cunningham abstract formal. So I was like, oh wow, okay, this is day and night for like morning, afternoon, and that was like that for weeks. And for me it was really satisfying. So I just wanted to learn for a lot of people, and then when I felt I was ready, I danced for 3 years with Compagnie Marie Chouinard, and after this big company and big tours and big stages, I was like, okay, now it's the time just to start to try, just to try.
Yes, and it worked. That's great. Okay, so Bang Bang was originally created as a solo in 2017.
Yeah.
Now it returns as a duet. So what
Yes.
motivated you to remake the piece in this new form, in the form of duet?
Yeah. To be honest, the first impulse was transmission because the piece is extremely demanding, and I'm 44 years old. So when we talked with my agent about maybe remounting the piece, and I was like, I'm not sure I can do it. So, and I've met this young dancer, Niels Levazeux. First, he was a teacher, he was a student, and then we started to collaborate. So at first, it was just a transmission process, but then during this transmission, I was doing it with him, and I felt it was adding layers to the work because it's a very demanding work. When you fight by yourself and when you're two to get into a fight, it changed the level of the resistance, the fight. There's something much more bright, luminous, hopeful, being two in a battle instead of being just one. And I wanted to see how being two could be a positive thing, like not being in concurrence or being like challenging the other one, but being supportive to the other one to go through the work and through the parts that is demanding.
So we can say that it does change a meaning a little bit as it's changed from solo to the duet for you. Or?
Yes, and that's what I like about live performance is that it's evolving, it's live, So 10 years ago, I was in a process where I just wanted to push my limits, and right now I'm in a process that I'm much more interested in sharing processes with others. So it's also a reflection of where I am in my life and how I organize my process to be coherent somehow with what I want to share with the audience.
And it just came to my mind, like this pushing of the limits, I mean, physical limits. Does it have something to do with your background from circus?
Probably. Yeah, probably because I don't know. Yeah, probably. And it was
Mhm.
also in my life. I was hiking a lot, and then I was
Uh-huh.
going through this major, like 3 weeks first, but then 2 months hike, and then 3 months hike, and being just on top of a mountain and not knowing how I should traverse the snowfield and stuff. And yeah, now after 40, I feel okay. It still interests me, but not for the same reason, because for me, placing a body in terms of repetition and trying to push the physical limits, I'm not interested about exhaustion because I think it's sickness and it's trouble. I'm more interested about opening new territories of sensation, of
Mhm.
self-discoveries, of transformation of the matter. So now I tend to stop when I reach a limit that is dangerous.
Mhm.
Uh, and especially more that now I share the work with someone. Um, because at first Bang Bang it was a trio when we worked on it, and
Mhm.
because of the injury risk and stuff, I felt more comfortable to take it on myself and to do it as a solo because the responsibility is not the same. So yeah,
Mhm.
sorry, I'm like going to
So now audience, they know that it requires extreme physical effort, this dua and
yeah,
concentration,
yeah,
because it's like constant jumping for 50 minutes. And why
yeah.
counting on 11? I think it's really in 11, it's really very difficult for dancers because it is an odd number. How comes that you count on 11?
Yes,
Yeah, I used to count on 8.
I know. And it's a nightmare when you start the rehearsal because then you open the door of the fridge on 11, 9, 10, 11, and you take your bottle of water 9, 10, 11. Like it stays in your mind forever when you start to work on the piece. But it was an artistic choice. Like we watched a lot of documentary about foundation of matter.
Mhm.
Um, and there's like three big theories. The first one is gravitational theories. So that's where I started to get the idea about trying to escape the gravity and to jump. There was a quantum physics, and
Mhm.
I'm saying what I learned, but I'm totally not like a pro about this. And where it was all particles, and this theory, they say that the matter still there's like errors sometimes that happen, like glitch,
Mhm.
and that those glitch are responsible for the transformation of the matter. So that's when for to get this idea, I was like, okay, so we're going to create a very complicated part that will be counted and impossible to do right every time. And there was a string theory that says like that the world is composed in not three or four or five, but 11 dimension.
Mhm.
So that's why we count on. So I decided to do a jumping piece to escape gravity with a very complex part with counts that is impossible to do without mistakes, counting 11. That was the start of the process, and yeah.
Yeah, so I think during this show you really share together both strengths and weaknesses. And
Yeah.
even though that's a unison, for me, there is a
Mhm.
kind of permanent communication between the two performers,
Yeah.
and which, from my point of view, really shape the atmosphere of the piece. So my question is like, am I right that unison
Mhm.
can be a dialogue, can be is unison the sort of a dialogue? Because even though you move together, there is
Mhm.
always something, as you said, like
Yeah.
there is always a little mistake, let's say. So
Yeah.
how this communication between you then comes about when this mistake
Uh-huh.
occurs during the show?
That's something I discovered also when we started to be two for this process, that it adds tension because when I was doing mistake by myself, no one would
Who
know,
knows?
and I count in 11. Well, I'll try to just get back in my head, but there's no proof. But if we're two and one does a mistake, there's a proof. And then we need to know, how do we count? Where was he? Was he counted like this count, this part? Like it creates a lot of tension to get back together, actually. And that's what I found interesting, because it's about not letting the other one go, but trying to get him back on track, or trying to get back on track with the other one who's like, and this change of leading position and pulling forward for me was more interested than being in a competition and like, ha, I got the count right. Because this layer, I'm like, eh. So also about this unison and listening to each other, we like, I think we watch each other in the eyes 10 seconds in the whole piece, but we stay side by side, and it creates a level of attention that is really on the sensation, on listening to the rhythm of the other, how we breathe, to gauge how tired it could be, or how powerful it could be at that moment. And I like this sense of listening that is not psychological, but more into the sensation somehow.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you really have to open all your senses.
yeah, yeah.
And you describe the work as becoming absurd, poetic, and even political. So, in what way you see Bang Bang as a statement, as beyond the physical performance? So, what kind of statement is it for you?
When I started the process, I was really worried about um, the glamorization about exhaustion, the advertisement for Nike, or for Nike, or for like brands like that, or like, when I was started hiking the trail, it takes a certain amount of time, but now people are running the trail, and it doesn't take 3 months, it takes like 2 weeks to do like 4,000 kilometers. And I was like, wow, I was somehow very critic about that. And I was like, which, where are we gonna go with this? Like, until which point? Until when does someone die? When does? And I felt it was also a reflection of our societies that demands more and more and more productivity and engagement. And when I started the process and the rehearsal process, I also discovered that there was some pleasure also in that engagement and involvement of demanding task. So for me, at one point, it was not about making a clear statement, this is bad, this is good, but just ask the question, how do we react in this um, even always more demanding pressure of productivity and performance? And I think I tried to navigate between being too much, and also now with this duet thing being something that could be doable, but in a positive way somehow.
So, and piece itself is quite simple. I mean, the set and the
Yeah,
lighting, but what about
yeah.
the music? Like, this is very interesting choice, because it's like the movement itself is creating the rhythm, the music,
Yeah,
but you also use the music. So how that choice came about?
yeah. There's a progression. So first it's only like a pulsation, and to see how the bodies respond to the environment. So for me, the music is somehow what's around or what's imposed to us. So it's like, okay, you got to be on the count, the music creates the pulsation. And after a while, we tried to get some liberty getting out of this pulsation. And for me, that's when the body starts to free itself from the pressure or the environment. And then the more the body transform, after like 30 minutes, I felt something maybe more poetic or romantic can get in there, because we're tired, we're sweaty, and there's some things that's changed inside, that we're not just like doing and going for it, but it's the endorphin moment, like when it kicks in, and something else is happening in terms of pleasure, fluidity, and so I tried to create this curve with the music to add to help also people go with the dramaturgy of the body of the experience. Yeah.
Great. So, and maybe art scene in Canada is not very well known to our audience. So, can you tell us what your point of view is about the scene? Like, what is the status of contemporary dance in Canada is among the other art forms, or comparing to the art forms, how you feel the scene? Is it rich enough, inspiring, and so on? So maybe tell something about that.
Yes, it's very inspiring. Yes, definitely. And I remember like maybe 6, 7 years ago, I was touring extensively in Europe, and every presenter, producer were like talking about Canadian artists that I love also. But we have somehow, I mean, we have support, but the support is getting less and less, and I see that very important artists for me are having more and more trouble to present the work. I think it's everywhere, definitely, but in Canada, we're not self-sufficient in terms of touring. Like we need to go to Europe at one point because the networks are so more developed. And for like specific work that are more like um, maybe less large audience show, but more like specific contemporary dance project, there's a much bigger network in Europe for that. But we have an ocean to cross, and it costs money, and it has an impact on the environment also. So it raises all those questions, and that makes it very difficult. Like if we don't go to Europe, we cannot really survive in terms of sustainability in our country, but then it has also this impact. But there are choreographers here in Montreal that I really admire the work. Clara Ferré, Dana Michel, Dana Ashby, Catherine Godet, which are really actually my age, like I would say young choreographer, but who are exploring territories. And now I'm watching the really young generation, like the Gen Z generation, 20 between 2025, and the proposition are all over the place. They get out of the black box, they try new experience proposition, and artistically it's really challenging and interesting for me. So yeah.
So great. So thank you for sharing. And I think also public in Bratislava is looking forward to see your Bang Bang.
Me
And
too.
we are looking forward to see you in Bratislava. Thank you very much.
Thank you.